podcast made by basketball fans for basketball fans. From the hottest takes, news, analysis, and passion for the sport that we all love, this is the Fast Break Pod with Finn James and Will Tremaine. Welcome into the Fast Break Podcast, the podcast made by basketball fans.
For basketball fans.
Finn James.
Will Tremaine.
Episode 19. Before we get into this, apologies, my voice sounds like this. It's been a pretty hectic last week or so, celebrating the New Year period, so lost the voice a little bit. However, we troop on for episode 19. Breakers action, NBA action, of course, a bit of world news. The quick fire through, Will.
Black Caps, 9-wicket win over Sri Lanka in the first ODI. This one was in Wellington, wasn't it, Finn?
Was.
Bay Oval, is it?
Bay Oval. Oh, no. Basin Reserve.
Basin Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, good job, Black Caps. Cool.
Yeah, Will Young had 90 runs. There you go.
Is it darts? What's happening?
Darts.
We've never covered darts. This
was entertaining. Luke Littler, the 17-year-old phenom, who has...
Phenom? Crazy.
I'd call him a phenom. He won the world champs against Michael Van Gerwen in the final.
It's
7-3.
Darts, Finn. It's darts. You throw a dart at a dartboard. And you're calling him a phenom.
Name a 17-year-old that's won a world championship.
I could go into a 5-kilometer run as a 17-year-old, and I think I've accomplished more than Luke Littler.
All right. That's a crazy take. He's literally the best in the world at what he does and makes millions of dollars throwing darts at a board. But shout out Luke Littler. He obviously took everyone's hearts last year when he first came onto the scene as the 17-year-old that looked about 35. But yeah, he won the PDC Darts World Championship against Michael Van Gerwen 7-3. And we'll quickly round off. Bit of football.
Phoenix lost 2-0 to Melbourne City. Pretty straightforward.
Womp womp.
They're sliding down the table. Looks like Auckland FC is our... Is it Auckland FC?
Auckland FC.
Auckland FC
the New
our
Zealand
only
saving
hope
grace.
to win the chip.
That's all there is for the world news. But NBL Round 15 recap, Will. Where are we starting off?
Starting it off with the Kings versus the Phoenix. This one, 110 Kings, 101 for Southeast Melbourne. Jalen Adams showed out in this one, 32 points and 9 assists. He just looked like he couldn't miss. And Derek Walton for Southeast Melbourne. He looks like he's really starting to find his rhythm.
Yep.
At a good time in the season because Southeast Melbourne are right there in that playoff hunt now. He had 22 points for them. Sobey as well. He's, it's been struggling a bit this season.
On and off.
On and off. 23 in this one, so an inconsistent guy, a bit like Matt Mooney, but we'll get to that guy in a bit.
Of course. Well, I think this is a really good sign for the Kings. I feel like they're really coming for that second spot on the table.
Possibly even one. That's still up for grabs.
I think that's still up for grabs. That's those top 3 teams in
Yeah.
Illawarra, Melbourne United, and of course Sydney.
And the Breakers.
Yeah, the Breakers aren't close, mate. But no, the Kings looking really good in my opinion, Will, to be honest.
No, they do. I think they had a bit of a slow start to the season by expectations and what people thought of them. But now they're really starting to figure it out. And Jalen Adams, obviously, I think they've made it clear that he's like their number one. I think he should be their number one scorer.
Well, he's their point guard, so it sort of makes sense.
And 9 assists as well. That's showing that he's not just looking to score; he's finding his teammates.
Yeah, they're finally looking like that team we all expected them to look like. At the start of the season with an disgracefully stacked roster. They also just signed a new import coming from Greece, I think. His name slips my mind. Obviously, he just signed, hasn't played a game yet, but I'm sure he'll be another good piece. So their 3 import spots are filled now, which is weird because I actually thought they'd already had 3 imports.
Yeah.
But obviously not. Jalen Adams and Cam Oliver, they're only imports on the team. So
yeah, they obviously have probably the best local player in the league, and Xavier Cooks. So they got to steal with that one.
Alex
but now,
Tui, of course.
Yeah.
Damn, and Kuat Noi, actually, in the last few games.
Pepe as well.
Yeah, and Kuat Noi off the bench. I think, my take for Mojave King, start of the year, 6th man of the year. Not looking very likely anymore. I think Kuat Noi might have his hands all over that award come the end of the year. He's been really, really good off the bench for
Cam Oliver
Sydney.
as well. I think he's still in for a shout, dependent on how these last few rounds and weeks go. Obviously, still a lot of basketball to go.
Yeah.
But moving on to the second game of the round, we had the game of the round,
I think this is the game of the round.
Illawarra, top of the table versus Cairns, the Wooden Spoon. 108 Cairns, 105 Illawarra. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Absolutely crazy upset for
I would
Cairns.
have loved to have seen how much Cairns was paying going into this game. Like $7. I reckon they were like $6 or $7 outsiders.
If you had put the house on it, then you guys would be millionaires right now.
This was, like you said, probably game of the round. there was a huge third quarter collapse from Illawarra that let Cairns get back in the game. I think led by Rob Edwards and Taran Armstrong, obviously doing their bit as well. This was just a really, really entertaining game. Buzzy as seeing Cairns get a win over probably, in my opinion, the clear-cut best team in this league in Illawarra. In Illawarra,
Crazy.
Cairns were on I think a 14 or 15 game losing streak.
Yeah, we thought we had it bad here in New Zealand. The Cairns fans have been struggling.
The whole
So to
year.
pick up a win against the most unlikely of teams away is... And let's talk about the ending to that game.
Oh my God.
Rob Edwards, obviously, I think it was 10 seconds left on the clock. He hits the game-tying three.
Let's even wheel back up a bit further on that, Will. Did you see what happened and how they got the ball?
Yeah, it was crazy.
So, a couple free throws.
That turnover was...
Taran Armstrong misses a free throw. Dave O'Hickey pulls the rebound down, gets trapped in the corner.
And just throws a full court.
What the heck? They were going to foul him. Try to throw it up to whoever was in the front court. Rob Edwards comes away with the intercept, comes off a screen, bangs a three and ties it up. And then obviously, Illawarra call timeout, go down. I can't remember who took the shot, but
I think they might have got a turnover, another steal.
Oh, Taran Armstrong actually got the steal, and then Hwai Yong Lee, the Illawarra's shooting guard, jumped to try and
but just
block.
Blatantly hit him in midair.
And then Taran Armstrong did a Euro step and purposely went into him, counted his 3 shots, knocks down all 3, a 108-105 turnaround win for Cairns.
So 2 insanely terrible mistakes, back to back. Obviously the pass right into the hands of Rob Edwards, and then that crazy foul as well. Yeah, it's tough to see if you're Illawarra fans.
That's going to be
back-to-back possessions.
I think we're in round 15. That is the most unlikely win I've seen.
This year, for sure.
There is no possible way. Ken's down, 3 points with 10 seconds left. You think they're just going to hold it. I just want to know how they've had a mental blip.
Back to back.
Do you remember in March Madness last year, Will, where I think it was, was it Virginia? One of the players also threw away the ball. They got a steal and they got knocked out of March Madness because they threw it away and the other team got a 3-pointer, a really low.
It's obviously really tough on the player because in the heat of the moment in a game like that, sometimes you're not thinking 100% straight of what to do, and he's obviously just chucked it up there, thinking he's doing the right thing. Obviously, that's what's going through his head, and now he has to deal with the fans who are probably no doubt going to be going after him and. What's that?
Hwai Yong Lee.
Hwai Yong Lee.
Yeah, ridiculous. But Tyler Harvey and Trey Kell also just showing out as usual. I think Trey Kell's once again slipped back into the top 3 for All-Star. MVP voting. I think
number
second
2
behind Bryce Cotton. So, Illawarra being that number 1 team, this is just one game, and they still scored 105 points. Obviously, defensively not the greatest with Cairns with 108. And, Dave O'Hickey with that little bit of a mental blip. But they can probably put this one behind them pretty quickly. I wouldn't be upset as an Illawarra fan.
Yeah, and Taran Armstrong and Rob Edwards, they both had 28 each on the night. In a very different scoring matters. Rob Edwards, obviously, as we've come to know, slightly inefficient 28 points, to put it nicely. And Taran Armstrong, he was 10 for 11 from the line.
Boom.
Obviously, those 3 free throws to ice the game. So, he's definitely one to watch for in the future.
Absolutely.
I think he's a promising young player.
Absolutely. The next game that we've highlighted as well, Adelaide 36 is back in the win column, which we all love to see. Obviously, they've had a bit of a, I'd say the last month or so, they've been a little bit up and down. With DJ getting hurt, and then Kendrick Davis and Montrez getting those suspensions too with that whole fight. They obviously dropped a few games and dropped to I think they might be 7th on the ladder right now. Only a game ahead of the Breakers, but a really big win here against Melbourne United, obviously second in the ladder, 100-81. Man, Kendrick Davis is just continuing to prove that he is probably... in my opinion, obviously Bryce Cotton is that number 1 guy in this league, but Kendrick Davis isn't far off.
I think he's clearly number 2 in my opinion. I'd have him 2 in the MVP race as well. I think the only reason he's jumped into number 3, but I think the only reason he's behind Trey Kell is because team record, obviously.
Yeah.
But if Adelaide can get back up into that top 4, I'd say, I think Kendrick has a realistic shot at winning MVP. Obviously,
at this rate, I think Bryce. I think there's maybe I'd say 8 or 9 games left in the season. There's 5 rounds left. Chances are Bryce Cotton's going to be pretty untouchable.
If Adelaide finish above Perth though, and Kendrick's putting up similar numbers, I think that could be up for debate.
They're 3 wins behind, so there is a chance.
It's close
with about 8 or 9 games remaining for both teams. So. Yeah, Kendrick Davis with a massive game. Trez back in the scoring column as well. 28 points, 9 rebounds for himself. I think he really likes it in Australia. I'm sure he's obviously going to get out of here as soon as he can, though.
Get that money, get that paycheck from Europe, which is inevitably coming for him and all the other imports in the NBL. It's a bit of a shame knowing that most of these imports are only going to be here for 1 or 2 years. And obviously, Bryce Cotton kind of broke the boundaries of that.
Yeah.
What's he in his 7th year now with Perth? I think it is
something ridiculous.
we need to see more of that. Longer contracts, I think. Like, pay them the money, but make sure they sign on for like 4 or 5 years.
Well, I mean, realistically, what happens? They come down here, try to show out, and then they'll try and either book their ticket to the NBA or sort of head over to somewhere in Europe where it's a lot more lucrative. But it is unfortunate. I think Bryce Cotton's come out multiple times and said, like, he doesn't care about the money. I'm pretty sure his contract is worth quite easily 6 figures a season. So he's making decent coin for somebody living in Perth. But, you know, it does suck. Like, we haven't... The Breakers in particular, I think we should highlight. Obviously, we have never really had an import that's returned for multiple years other than maybe Cedric Jackson.
PJC this year.
PJC, I think PJC was the first import since Cedric Jackson to return for a second season, I'm pretty sure.
And he won't be returning for a third.
Highly unlikely.
What was that message you put out, Finn, on his what was his Instagram or something?
So don't quote me on this, could be wrong. There was I think this is his Twitter account. This tweet was soon deleted. I think it might have been a heat of a moment thing from Will. He said, "When all this shit is all said and done, I'm leaving and I'm never coming back."
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think this has anything to do with the Breakers. I think
it's a suspension.
I think PJC doesn't like the way he's been treated in this league. And obviously we can get into this later with his 5-game suspension, but hella unfortunate for him, eh?
Yeah, it's crazy. 5 games is just ridiculous. That pretty much just ices the cake on our season. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to get wins without our best player on the court, one of the best players in the league. So they've essentially just gone, nah, we don't want the Breakers in the playoffs. Goodbye.
Exactly.
In this announcement that they've made. 5 games. Crazy.
Yeah. Sydney, they had a doubleheader in this round as well. They got a 5-point win over Brisbane, 91-86. 6 players in double figures for Brisbane. Didn't really matter. Josh Adams made his debut. Obviously the replacement for James Bateman after he had a season-ending hamstring injury. Only 11 points in the night, but...
Good luck, James Bateman. He was fun to watch.
Bro, he dropped to 51 points.
So nice.
Yeah, and then Jalen Adams backed up in yet again a pretty decent game from him, 21-8. Got Sydney over the line, so pretty good to see from them as well. And there's a few more games left in the round, of course. But the games that we should be highlighting, obviously, are the Breakers ones. Last round on New Year's Eve, Breakers played the Taipans.
Finally broke our streak.
Finally.
I mean, as we should have, against the Wooden Spoon in Cairns. So we were a little bit nervous, but we came away with a big win in the end. 92-68, ending off 2024 on a high after the multiple lows that we'd had for the previous 4 weeks.
Horrible. Our first game without PJC. Matt Mooney, Taiko Fall really stepped up in this one. Matt Mooney with 23 points and 10 assists. Not sure what I was expecting with PJC living. Obviously, Matt Mooney, since the fever break, has been... No, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He hasn't been great.
No.
So, with PJC out, I was really nervous. I was like, who's going to step up? Who's going to be that guy? Obviously, Matt Mooney coming in with the absence of PJC, gets the ball in his hand a bit more, 23 and 10. And Taco Fall, dare I say it, Will...
I love Taco.
Is he warming up to me?
Is he warming up to me?
21 points and 12 boards on the night.
That's not even the start of it. Obviously, we'll get into the Perth game in a second.
Which obviously we've just watched the Perth game, so we're fresh in our mind of what's happened there. But look, it was nice to finally break the streak. It would have been very concerning if we'd lost to Cairns, but we didn't, and we broke the win streak, hoping that we'd come into 2025 on a bit of a momentum flip. But I think quite the opposite may have happened tonight, Will.
Yeah. Just on that game, Breakers Taipans, it's good to see Matt Mooney kind of playing more like a point guard in this one.
Yeah.
Obviously missing PJC. He stepped up in the finding his teammates role. 10 assists. I did not see him having a 10 assist game all of this season. And this partnered with the Perth game as well. He's really shown that when PJC's not there, he can step up and be that guy. So
what did happen
with Taco as well?
What happened in the Perth game then?
Perth game, Mooney and Taco both scoring 28. So
however, what was the score?
We lost 96-86
at home
in front of a home crowd. It's never a good sign. But Taco was, what did he score? Like the first 8 points in a row?
I think
he
so.
had like 14 in the first quarter.
Free throw line for Taco tonight. Very surprising.
What was
how
he, like
good
8 for 12 or something?
Something like that. And he's
So
shooting
good.
51% on the year. Very positive. Very positive signs. I think Taco had 21 at the half.
Yeah. They were saying he's on for 40. Obviously, he didn't get the most minutes in the...
It's on a minutes restriction,
minutes
I'm pretty
restriction
sure.
is... But I don't think it's a minutes restriction based on, like, injuries or anything. I think it's just purely that's, like, the most amount of minutes he can play. I think
You
he's
think
not
he's too
up
tired?
to... Yeah, I don't think he's up to, like, fitness shape with these other younger, dare I say, smaller guys.
I think
It might be a bit more of a
is-
toll on his body than on the average person.
Anyone
is
is
what I'm trying to say.
small compared to Taco Fall.
Yeah.
28 points is really positive.
They were just passing it down to him
No, I think
in the paint.
This is what I mean. Like, I think Petteri Kopanen's already proved, to me at least, this season, obviously as a first-time head coach, he is a really good basketball coach. Yep. He obviously, when that huge run we had pre-FIBA break, the team was operating so smoothly. The offense was flowing, even with injuries, with Mojave King, Max Starling, Mitch McCarron. We still looked so good. Transformed Freddie into a player that we needed as well. Obviously, you got rid of him. And having a shift like this, where you have a player that is just so obsolete, 7'6", pretty hard to coach. He's I think he's starting to figure it out. He's looking like he's been able to run plays for him and get him in just right under the basket. Because, I think he shot like 10 for 11 on the night. Maybe 10 of 12.
But as many positives as we see in his offensive game and how he can just catch the ball down low and find it in the rim, there's obviously a ton of negative aspects to his game still. One thing that really stands out still is his defense in the pick and roll. He just does not come up at all. As soon as that offensive player has set a screen on whoever it may be, Matt Mooney, the guard, in this case, Bryce Cotton, who was on a heater tonight as well, just goes around that screen, sees that Taco's standing too far back. Even for a 7'6" guy, he's not going to block that shot. And Bryce is just chucking them up, and most of them are going in.
Well, last time we played Perth, obviously Bryce dropped 59. Similar story tonight, obviously, like you just mentioned, with the whole Taco on-ball action. Yeah, Bryce Cotton thought he'd fuck around and score 41.
If my maths is correct, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that's 100 points in 2 games against the Breakers. Crazy.
Yeah.
Averaging 50 a game against the Breakers.
Yeah, in the last 2.
Yep.
So a bit concerning there, and obviously that sort of does fall straight back to that whole thing with Taco Fall being, honestly, and very just ineffective and a bit of a liability on-ball actions with smaller guards.
And I feel
a similar thing happened when we played Adelaide as well with Kendrick Davis too. It's the smaller guards.
It's going to happen
are
with
very
any
quick.
smaller guards.
It's
It'll
very
happen against
unfortunate.
Illawarra as well. Trey Kell and Tyler Harvey, they'll just absolutely abuse that if Taco's sitting back.
Yeah.
And also, the one other thing that I want to mention is I think this has been really rough on Sam Meninga. Obviously, with Taco coming in, he has just taken so many of Sam's minutes, starting minutes as well. Sam obviously didn't get the start tonight. They've slotted in Taco there. And I don't think Sam deserved to be benched and be given way less minutes and a smaller role on this team after he was consistently proving to be our second best player.
I thought he was, before the FIBA break, I would have been confident in saying he was second or third, obviously, depending whether Matt Mooney was firing.
He was second.
Very consistent, did everything we need to do. And yeah, it's very unfortunate that Taco's coming and, coming off the bench, Sam, I just don't think he's been able to find himself in that role yet.
I feel as though it could be a bit of a mental problem as well.
100%.
Like, you've just lost your starting role. You were the second option on the team for most of the year. Once Freddie was there, he'd earned that starting spot over the import Freddie Gillespie that they'd got in. And then when they decided, Freddie's not working, let's get another import in. Sorry, Sam, back of the line. I think Sam had deserved that spot, and Taco needed to come in and prove that he earned it over Sam.
Yeah, obviously when Taco first came in, he obviously didn't get the starting nod straight away. But
I don't think he'd done anything.
It was a matter of time.
But he'd done nothing to prove that he'd deserved that spot over Sam. And I still don't think he's
Sam has also had I think it was season high this year was around 26, 28 as well.
It's not about that though. It's about the defensive end of the court. Sam's coming up on screens.
Yeah, exactly. And his ability to shoot the 3 ball was also so helpful. Yeah. So yeah, it is really harsh. And I think his
Taco could have 50 on the night and he'll still not have the best game because he's just a liability on defense. Like, he's good for people who are driving to the rim trying to score layups.
Yeah, he blocks
a ton of shots.
4 blocks on the night.
But if you're facing a shooting team, Taco's stuffed.
Absolutely. And this one really hurt. Obviously, Taco defensively didn't help. Bryce Cotton 41. I think we went into halftime 11 points down. And in the fourth quarter, we made a really big push. Matt Mooney in the third and fourth corner was cooking. Really, really, really strong showing from him. But he struggled with fouls all night. And I think there was about 4 minutes left in the game. Might have been a 2-point game. Matt Mooney fouls out. A really borderline offensive foul on Matt Mooney.
I think he was
heated.
He'd been going back and forth with Ben Henschel, I think it was.
Yeah.
All game long. And then Ben tied him up in a little like situation. And I think Matt just like spun around and caught him with the elbow, maybe his arm. I think it was kind of a heat of the moment thing. He'd maybe gotten in Matt's head a little bit there and made Matt lash out. I think it was a fair call, but
Matt Mooney was not happy. No, either. He got a T. Terry got a T as well. That was the complete momentum shift in the game. The last 3 minutes, Bryce Cotton just came out of those technical foul free throws and thought he'd light up, and well, that was the rest was history. Unfortunately, like went from about a 2-point game to a 10-point game pretty damn quick. But definitely some positives to take away. However, I've said this every week ever since we went on that 8-game losing streak. There's positives. At the end of the day, we're not winning.
No.
And that's what we need to do. We need to win games.
We still have a chance to make the playoffs. As slim as it is, we're still close. Those teams, us 9, 8, 7, and 6, we're all similarly grouped. I think we're 3 games behind or something. So it's catchable, but we need them to lose a bit more, and we need us to win a bit more.
So we'll do a bit of a table update for you as well, team. Obviously, this is nearing the back end of the season. This is the nitty and gritty times. Illawarra still ahead at the top with 13 wins, 7 losses. Melbourne sitting in second with 13 wins as well, but 9 losses. So they've played 2 extra games, so they only have 7 games left. Sydney is sharing the same record with Melbourne, so I'm thinking Sydney, depending on what their
they'll jump them.
What their schedule looks like, I think they might jump Melbourne. I think they're starting to really figure it out.
I think they could get the 1 seed still as well.
That's crazy.
I don't know if Illawarra have locked in that 1 seed yet. Yeah. They lost to Cairns, Finn.
It's one game.
It's one game. I still think they're an elite team, but I don't think Sydney are as bad as Illawarra. I prefer Sydney over Illawarra personally.
Fair enough.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
I think. To be fair, Sydney probably have more. They might have more talent.
They have the most talent of any team in this league.
I don't obviously Trey Cal and Tyler Harvey are just excellent players, but when you have Jalen Adams, Zave Cooks, Alex Tui, Cam Oliver, Kawat Noi, that's just the name 5.
Kelly Lepepe's
been good. Yeah, Liafa as well. Galloway too. Before he was injured, he was on the Bucks roster during the off season. Like they have a ridiculously good team. So. Talent's there for Sydney. I just think Illawarra, they have the best coach in the league in Justin Tatum, so sort of helps on that front. But
it'll be close, that top 3 race.
It's going to be really close. I think it's going to be very close all the way up till the 6th spot, obviously, which is the last position in the play-in tournament. If we cast our eye, obviously, the Breakers sitting in 9th at the moment with 8 wins and 12 losses, with 3 games behind 6th. There's still a chance. There always is. We've got 9 games remaining on the schedule. I think if we can win, I'd say, a minimum of 6 in the last 9... There is
hopefully 7. 7, I think we could get in.
7, I think we're there.
I think we're there.
That's 15 wins on the year. If we get 7, I'm pretty happy with that.
And that means Southeast Melbourne only win 4 out of what?
They got 7. They got 8 games.
So they go 50-50, possible. Yeah, but we need to win.
Breakers can still do it. We're back on action Wednesday night against Brisbane in Brisbane. Obviously, Brisbane just coming off that loss against Sydney, so they're going to be looking to get back as well. It'll be interesting to see how Taco Fall matches up against Tyrell Harrison on Wednesday.
And they're obviously a team that are in that race for the 6th spot with us. So
obviously, they just have Josh Adams coming in as well, so they might be a bit discombobulated. But obviously, Casey Prather has been hooping, so it's going to be interesting to see how we go.
Keandre Cook as well.
Keandre Cook's been good. It'll be interesting to see how Tyrell Harrison matches up against Taco Fall. I think 2 really big inside centers is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think Taco should still dominate him down in the paint offensively. It's just that defensive end of the floor that he needs to work on. But enough slander on the defense of Taco Fall. What games are currently... I think it's actually... Let's do a live update. Tassie versus Phoenix. It's just wrapped up. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix got the win in this one. 105-91. See who any standouts here. Tasmania, they were led by Jordan Crawford with 16 off the bench.
Classic.
And Southeast Melbourne, Matt Hurt, 20 points.
Continuing. He's been good all year.
Derek Walden, 16, and Hunter was 17. So
little bit of a live update there. It was funny because obviously going into the season, you really thought Southeast Melbourne were going to be a bit of a dark horse.
Yeah, and they have gotten better.
Much
I think
better.
they're in that 6th spot now, aren't they?
I think they might be, yeah. So they're definitely they're in that top 6.
They're in the run with us.
And you were sneaky. You were a little bit.
I was a bit
Derek
too
Walton,
high on them.
I think a bit too high on Derek Walton, but obviously Matt Hurt's been excellent. So they've been good ever since they got their new coach in.
Yeah,
I think they've been very good. But
definitely.
enough NBL action. Obviously, we'll continue to update you guys throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed the Breakers make a run. Because if not, well, it's a bit unfortunate, really, isn't it? I thought this might have been the year. Next season is going to be so interesting. Taco fullback for another year.
John Wall, come to the Breakers, and Isaiah Thomas. Those can be our 3 imports.
Taco.
IT at the 1, John Wall at the 2, Taco at the 5.
Kareem Lopez next year.
Actually, I don't know if I want Taco back. Sorry.
He's signed him 2 year.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
And obviously, Kareem Lopez back for a second season too. But we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. That is so far away. NBA action. This is what we are here for, the nitty and gritty.
What a week of NBA action it's been, Finn. How many 50 bombs have there been?
Dude, the NBA is so entertaining.
I love the NBA, man.
And if you told me that CJ McCollum was going to drop 50 points on 10 threes this season, I would have shot you.
Go CJ. Love
Obviously,
to see
your
CJ
boy,
succeeding.
Blazers legend, some could say.
Man.
Arguably one of the best players that's never made an All-Star team.
So underrated, bro. CJ, he needs more love. 50 points with 10 threes. That ties his career high. He had 50 once with the Blazers. But he also joins a list of... It was Steph, Dame, Anthony Simons,
James Harden.
mention, James Harden.
And there was one more on there as well.
Who was it?
Himself.
Of players to have 5 games or more with 9+ threes.
Pretty
random
Curry
stat,
as well.
but
Did you say Curry?
I said Curry.
Yeah,
Oh,
Curry's got
Clay.
44, which is
Dame's
ridiculous.
second with 14.
I think James Harden was in there as well. But
And Anthony Simons has 5.
5+ games with 9 3-pointers made is
Random stat.
That is an ESPN stat if I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, CJ McCollum. Obviously, the Pelicans have just been, well, injury prone. I think it's the only reason. We had them quite highly, obviously, in our preseason predictions. But
Yeah, on paper, their team is stacked when they're fully healthy.
Zion doesn't play.
BI's been out
BI's been out for a bit now.
DeJounte's just come back.
Herb was hurt for a while as well.
Their whole team
And CJ
is-
was hurt too.
Just think of this team fully healthy, though. DeJounte at the 1, CJ at the 2,
Herb.
Herb... Oh, but Trey Murphy's
I'm
averaging
starting
20,
Herb.
though.
I'm starting Herb.
So you're going Herb, BI, and Zion?
Probably.
And then Trey Murphy off the bench?
Yep.
Yves Messi... How do you say it?
Yves Messi, who is honestly leading the Rookie of the Year race
off
the
bench as well.
Brandon Boston Jr. has been pretty good for them this season too.
Who's that point guard as well?
Jose Alvarado.
No, the other one. Jordan Hawkins.
They have a
Damn,
really
that's
solid
stacked.
team. It's been a really unfortunate season for Pelicans fans. Shout out Liam Heath. But yeah, some other 50 pieces though, Will.
Anthony Edwards.
Oh my god.
Very, very similar game to CJ. 53 and 10 threes as well.
Mm-hmm.
And in both of these games, they didn't really put up any other stats. It was just
I think he had
all
1
scoring.
and 1.
No, I checked it after the game. He'd got 6 rebounds. So at some point between then and the end of the game, he'd gone and grabbed 5 boards.
1 assist though.
1 assist, yeah.
Nobody else touching
Same
the
as
rock.
CJ.
Nobody else touching the rock.
Brunson's game, however, a bit different. What was it?
55 and 9 assists for the Knicks. Can we? I know you want to talk about this.
Yeah.
You think the Knicks have the best starting 5 in the NBA?
On paper, I think the Knicks have the best starting 5.
I think the Cavs compete with them.
The Cavs,
for that spot.
I do think they're a shout. I'd say their top 4 and the Knicks' top 4 is very close. But the reason I'd give it to the Knicks is because their 5th best starter, who I think is Josh Hart.
I mean, he had back-to-back games with triple-doubles, by the way.
Yeah, and the Cavs' fifth best player, who's Isaac Okoro, he starts. I think that's where they get the upper hand there.
Yeah.
But they're both up there. Celtics as well, crazy when they're fully healthy. But yeah, the Knicks, they have 4 guys who can realistically go and drop you go and give you 40 a night.
Cat's been hooping this year too. He's in. I love how Karl Anthony Towns. I think he has such an amazing game. I think it's pretty unique for somebody his size to score with the ability that he has.
He's probably the best big man shooter.
The trade from Mini to Knicks has been the best move of his career. Obviously started in Mini. Him coming to the Knicks was perfect situation for him.
100%. And I think he's solidified himself as that number 1 guy in New York already.
You think he's better than Brunson?
I think he's better than Brunson, personally. I think he's in that MVP race ahead of Brunson because I think he's leading this team. He's consistently putting up 30 most nights.
Yeah.
And rebounds is what he leads the NBA in rebounds.
I did not
It's
know
like
that.
14 a game.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I did not see that happening from Cat. Obviously, he's been playing the 4 for the last couple of years
I think
with Rudy Gobert.
I don't know what on earth Minnie was thinking having Cat and Gobert share the court at the same time. Obviously, Cat might have been happy. Played the 4, smaller guy on him, probably gets more looks.
Shooting more.
Didn't work at all. Goes to the Knicks, starts playing his traditional position at the 5, and, well, realistically, it's working for them. I think the Knicks are, the 3rd seed in the East?
Yeah, and he obviously went from... starting in Minnesota, he kind of became that number 1 option, and then Anthony Edwards obviously emerged, and he had to slide into that number 2 option role, which I don't know if he would have liked that or not. And I don't think he probably ever thought he was going to go back to a team where he's the number 1 option on a playoff team again. But now I think he's done that.
Would you call him the number 1 option, though? Or is Brunson and Cat just 1A, 1B?
Yeah, they're definitely neck and neck, but I think if you need a bucket in clutch time, I'm going to Cat.
Okay.
From 3 and from 2. I think he's the best center shooting-wise of all time. I don't know another center who's better at shooting it than him.
You know who will be better than him, though?
Wemby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's Cat.
And then they got Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby who can go and give you... They've both had 40-point games this season already.
Ridiculous.
And Josh Hart, who puts up, his game the other day, he had 23, 16, and 12. Insane.
He's the best rebounding guard in the NBA. Josh
100%.
Hart. It's not even...
Probably the best hustle guy as well.
Imagine if they still had Dante DiVincenzo. Damn. Power of friendship. But however, that trade...
He's struggling in
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
He's really... Well, I just don't think Mini works.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, obviously they're down. I think are they the 10th seed?
10 seed.
I was really high on Minnesota this year too. I thought Anthony Edwards was going to have a jump. I mean, obviously, before the trade, hypothetically speaking, but I thought Julius Randle was going to work.
Yeah.
And sometimes it has. For the most part, things aren't really clicking in Minnesota.
And even Ant's having a bit of a... he's crazy from 3, but I think his points are a little bit down from last year, which surprised me because obviously Cat's gone. I thought he was going to be up near the 30-point per game mark this season.
I did too.
But
to be fair, it's actually surprising. It looks like points per games have actually sort of dipped a little bit since last year. You don't have that many people, that many players in the 30-point per game.
I think there's 4 currently.
Giannis,
Jokic,
LaMelo,
which is crazy.
Jokic, LaMelo, and Shea. There you go.
Crazy.
So only 4. I think there might have been 5 or 6 last season.
Yeah. Or there was a couple years ago where I know Dame averaged 32 in his last year with the Blazers, and I think that was only good for 4th in the NBA.
Yeah.
I think Luka was averaging 35. Crazy.
Ridiculous. Speaking of Jokic, though.
Oh my god.
We've talked about him on the pod before. We had the clip come out. I said, Jokic, enough said. Best player in the world. Go through his last couple of games for me. We need to go through this.
Some people love him. Some people hate him. But you can't deny that this guy is the front runner for MVP right now to win his 4th MVP in 5 years.
Inevitable.
When you hear these numbers, this is his last 4 games. From today back to his 4th previous game. Today he had 46, 9, and 10. One rebound shy of a triple-double. Before that, he had 41, 18, and 9. Again, short by 1 assist this time with a triple-double. Then he had slightly less scoring night, but 23, 17, and 15. And then he had 36, 22, and 11.
That craziest game's the 36 and 22. 22 boards is insane.
And 11 assists as well. I think he'll have a 20-20-20 game.
He got drafted. Was it during a Doritos commercial?
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. Obviously, no one knew he was Obviously, no one knew he was going to become the greatest player on the planet.
What rating was he on 2K in his first year? Wasn't it
60 something?
Yeah.
He honestly, if he stays healthy, wins a few more chips.
GOAT conversations.
Where's he in the GOAT debate?
I think
too early to tell. Still, obviously, with only 1 championship,
he's going to be a 4-time MVP by the end of the season.
You know what's insane? That's 4 in 5 years. Yeah. That hasn't been done before.
And he's still young. He's
still
probably going to win more.
Sorry, but in modern recent NBA times, 4 in 5 years. I mean, LeBron realistically should have done it.
No.
But
I think if Jokic wins MVP this year, he's jumped LeBron in the GOAT debate. And then he's only got probably 3 or 4 more guys that he needs to get ahead of. MJ's the GOAT. Are we doing this live on the pod now, Finn? It's inevitable. It's going to happen at some point.
Is LeBron not number 2 for you though? Then
nah, he is. I was joking. Calm down.
Jesus.
Although Wilt deserves more love. I'll put that name out there.
Well, Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain, he had 100 points in a game. Have you seen his
video
stats?
evidence? Video evidence.
He averaged 50-something on a
Where
season.
is the evidence that he scored 100 points?
I don't care. I believe it.
Nah, it probably did happen.
It did happen.
He was dumb. He was dumb.
I think there's two different debates you need to have when it comes to this topic. The greatest of all time or the best of all time? Let me clarify. Greatest of all time. That's your achievements, what you've done, regardless of time period. Because obviously, and that's where it differentiates from the best of all time. Because the best of all time, you put MJ into today's NBA, he's probably a bench player at best.
DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar DeRozan.
He's literally DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah. So I think like best of all time, you'd have to say LeBron or Curry or KD, some current player, maybe even Jokic or Luka.
Wemby.
Greatest, Wemby. Greatest, you got to take into account accomplishments, and that's why I think Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, those type of guys need some more love. That's just me personally.
LeBron has 4 chips on 3 different teams.
Cool.
That is really hard to do. Most finals appearances, and he's putting up 23, 7.5, and 9 at the age of 40.
Yeah.
I think that in itself, the longevity of his career is ridiculous in season 22. 22.
No, what's his number?
6.
6.
Okay. 6 rings.
6 rings, baby. MJ's a goat.
Fair play. But funny that we got into that with Jokic because, man, 4 MVPs in 5 years. Give him 3 more chips.
We'll look back at this episode in 10 years when we're doing the fast
when
break.
he retires, and we'll see where
something.
he is.
Yep.
How are the Blazers going? Be honest.
Blazers.
Be honest.
Blazers.
Hey,
Blazers.
you got to win today.
Yeah, but I don't want us to win, Finn. Especially not today's game. Our season's over. We're not making the play-in. We may as well tank for flag.
Yeah.
Or Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper. I'm happy with any one of those 3. Mm-hmm. So start losing. And especially today against Damian Lillard and the Bucks, who are kind of like, dare I say, the main team I'm following now this season to win it all, because they're obviously the only team that have a shot.
They're going to contend. The Blazers will not.
And they go out there and they get a meaningless win, which possibly hinders their father, Damian Lillard, and his team's positioning in the playoffs. So how dare they? I hope Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp, they all send a nice apology letter to Damian Lillard in the mail tomorrow. But that's all for the Blazers.
Fair enough. Well, this honestly, today could have been the happiest day of my life.
If the Blazers
not my life. In recent times.
Yeah,
Kawhi Leonard played basketball today, guys. Can we get...
Yeah, that's good. He had a great game too, didn't he, Finn?
Well, 12 points in 19 minutes, I think, or 17 minutes. But
that's good.
He played. Kawhi Leonard started and played basketball for the Los Angeles Clippers in the big 2025.
Hey.
Apparently, his knee is feeling better, but he's still day-to-day whether he's going to be able to play with inflammation. And
Hi?
yeah, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. However, we played the Hawks, killed them. The whole team was firing all cylinders. Terrence Mann returned today. He was playing really well. I'm really high on the Clippers with 20-15 in that 7th seed, just under the Mavs.
What a surprise. You're high on the Clippers.
No, but it's funny. You guys, where did you, season
I think I
predictions?
had them 13th.
Yeah.
Still looking legit.
No.
100%.
No.
What are you now? 7?
All I'm saying is that we have the 5th best defense in the NBA, matched with Norman Powell, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard. We're going to put the league on notice, and I reckon we're going to finish a top 6 seed quite easily and escape the play-in tournament.
Okay.
I don't think that's a bold prediction. I think that's a pretty realistic prediction. And
basketball's a game of runs, and you guys have just been on a good run at the moment, but your inevitable
we've played
bad
35
run
games.
is coming.
We've played 35 games.
Yeah, it's less than half the season.
Okay.
You're going to win 10 in the next second half of the season.
10, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm really happy. Got to see Kawhi Leonard play basketball today. And like I said, it would have been the happiest day of my life if the Breakers got the win, but they didn't. However, happy days for the Clippers. We continue in 2 days' time against the Pistons, I think. Or maybe someone else, but...
Good luck.
Yeah. All-star picks.
It's good Kate coming in.
All-stars. The voting's opened. We'll end off this episode by running through our all-star teams. Not who we think's going to get voted in. Yeah, there's a bit of a difference here. Not who we think's going to get who will get voted in. Who we would pick, regardless of what anyone else has to say.
Based on entertainment value and based on
how good they're playing.
And how good their team is this season.
Record has a big play in this, I think.
Yeah.
So we've obviously gone through our entire rosters. with a starting five. How many players on the bench?
A second five, and then two wildcards.
And two wildcards, which that is how many players it is.
Yeah, 12
Obviously,
players each conference.
Let's run through the West first. I think we have.
You want to do what? No, let's start with the East.
Start with the East?
Start with the East.
The East, I feel like, is.
It's a little bit easier, not as stacked. It's still
not as stacked,
still
but
tough.
I feel like it moves around a little bit. We have.
The guards were tough.
The guards were tough. Who did you have the two starting guards for you?
My two starting guards in the East, as will be no surprise to anyone, Damian Lillard at one guard spot, and Donovan Mitchell, the best player on the best team in the NBA. So those are my two starting guards. I think that's pretty fair, and I don't think there's any debate there.
Well, I've got Jalen Brunson, but I also have Donovan Mitchell, which I think is a given. I think he deserves that on the best team.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Brunson deserves it too, though.
Okay, so
third seed.
We'll differentiate there, but we obviously have both of them.
Your forwards?
Forwards. I think this one's pretty clear. Giannis and Tatum, guarantees. And I've gone Cat for my third forward.
Exactly the same for me too.
So
there you go.
I think the next third best team in the East, Cat, as I've said, I think he's their best player. So I've given him the starting nod. That's why I didn't have Brunson in there as well. Give it to Dame. But
mine's exactly the same. And I don't even think there really needs to be an explanation. I'm pretty sure it's pretty obvious.
And who will your captain be in the East?
Ooh, probably I'd say Giannis.
Yeah,
I think he'd probably get it.
Clear best player.
Yeah. But in terms of our bench, I think this is where it gets a little bit more exciting. My guard spots. Gone with Dame.
Yep.
Cade Cunningham. Having an awesome season. The Detroit Pistons aren't as bad as they have been in previous years. They've already got more wins this year than they did last. And I think Cade Cunningham is having honestly, a very, very good season. So I think he deserves an all-star spot for sure.
Yeah, I haven't obviously been watching that much Detroit Pistons.
Well,
basketball,
neither.
But when we looked up their stats, I was blown away that he's averaging like 24 a game on very good efficiency. He's an elite defender, and he's averaging like 8.5 assists as well. So I've gone the same as you, Finn. Cade Cunningham, guaranteed. Has to be an all-star, and I've gone with Brunson, obviously, because I had Dame starting. Yeah,
and then moving on to our forwards, Will, who have you got? There might be one in here that might be a bit surprised about.
So I've gone with Evan Mobley from the Cavs.
I've also got him.
I think the Cavs deserve two all-stars.
I do.
The best team in the whole of the league. You have to give them two all-stars. And it was between Mobley and Garland, but Garland is obviously a guard, and I think that's a bit more stacked in the East.
Yeah.
So I went with Mobley as one of my forwards.
Jared Allen could have potentially, but Mobley I think is
clearly
better
than Jared Allen.
I've also got Mobley. Yeah.
Jaylen Brown, he's
as
listed as a front court forward on the NBA app. So
he's a forward.
Obviously, I'm putting him in there. Second best player on the Celtics. Again, second best team in the East. Top 3 team in the league. I think those two are pretty clear. For my third one, this one might be a shock to some people. I think the East forwards were a little bit weaker than
I agree.
the guards.
No, I do agree with you.
So I've gone with Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks. I think he's... Hear me out, because I'll say it now. Trae Young did not make my all-star team for the East. And people will come at me and say, but Trae Young's the best player on the Hawks. I think he is the best player on the Hawks. But I think it's closer than some people might think. Jalen Johnson's having a phenomenal year. And obviously he's a forward, Trae's a guard. So I've had to leave Trae Young out because the guards are just too stacked. Jalen Johnson, I've slotted him in there as one of my forwards because he's having a phenomenal year. 20 points and 10 rebounds a night.
He's had a crazy jump this year.
Yeah.
And I mean, it would be surprising to see him there. I think well deserved though.
Yeah.
And I think like Trae Young is the best player on the Hawks.
Yeah.
I think that's hands down. But Jalen Johnson's impact as a high-flying 6'8" forward, averaging 20 and 10. You don't get that everywhere.
No.
So, I potentially think he probably deserves that. And the funny thing is, I think my forward position, obviously I had Brown and Mobley. I've gone with RJ Barrett as my third forward, who I think is having a very good year. It's just a shame that the Raptors are shit.
Yeah.
They're really bad.
He's having a crazy year. But 24 a game?
I think 24, 6 and 6.
LeBron-esque.
Literally LeBron-esque stats for RJ Barrett. I picked him in fantasy as a really low pick because I knew he'd have a jump this year. And he has, and he's been really good. You know what's funny? I thought Emmanuel quickly was going to have a jump this year too, but obviously that didn't happen. However, the Raptors poo. But I think RJ Barrett, with how he's playing, I think he deserves this All-Star this year, for sure.
If the Raptors were in that playoff hunt, I'd be in agreement with you, Finn. The only reason I've left them out is because of their record.
Yeah.
I think it's too bad.
Fair enough. What about your wild cards?
Wild cards, I've gone 2 guards
So
because, as I said, I think the guard position is a lot more stacked. I've gone with LaMelo Ball. I was tossed up about this one because
in the 14th seed in the
they're the
East.
14th seed. They're one of the worst teams in the NBA. They've not proven that they can win anything. But at the end of the day, LaMelo Ball is averaging 30 points per game, 13 3-point attempts per game.
Leads the league in it.
On decent efficiency, 35. In fact, I'd say that's better than decent.
That's good.
Above league average.
It's above league average, and he's
On a
taking
high
13 a game. And
Yeah.
they aren't easy threes.
And he's an
So
very
entertaining.
entertaining player to watch. So I've had to put him in there as one of my guards. I don't think he should start, like most of the fans out there are saying. He's obviously leading the voting for the East. Crazy.
Just because all the young kids love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for my other wild card, this might be a bit more of a shock. I've gone with Tyler Herro from the Heat.
I don't hate it.
I think the Heat are the
He's averaging 24.
He's averaging 24. The Heat are the 6th seed. He's the best player on the Heat this season. Jimmy's obviously given up on the Heat.
7
Bam's
game
having
suspension.
a down year. Yeah, I wanted to show some love to Tyler Herro. I see you. You're balling. And yeah, he's slotted in there. So we'll say yours first, and then we'll mention some snubs maybe.
I also have LaMelo Ball as a wild card. Same reasons as you, exactly. And then I have Trae Young.
Okay.
I think the Hawks deserve somebody, and I think Trae Young leads the league in assists. He's an entertaining player.
Yeah.
Shoots deep threes. I think he deserves to be an All-Star this year.
Fair enough.
Snubs?
Who are some snubs?
Tyrese Maxey.
Tyrese Maxey.
Joel Embiid. Not necessarily
He's
a snub.
injured, so...
He missed our teams because, well, first of all, is he even going to play if he gets selected?
No.
So
No chance.
that was one of the reasons why we didn't put him in here. Plus, he hasn't really played enough for me.
Tyrese Halliburton, maybe. I mean, he's obviously having a much more of a down year, but the Pacers are still in the playoffs. He's still their best player. He was a shout. Darius Garland, as I said before.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I think that's all I have in the
Derek
East.
White, maybe? Shout out Derek White.
Maybe Derek White.
Yeah.
But other than that, nobody else for me.
No.
So we'll move on to the West.
Who do you got? Run it down.
Luka and SGA in my backcourt.
Same. Don't think there's any debate there.
No. And then in my front court, LeBron, Wemby, and Jokic.
So I've gone with Wemby and Jokic as well. And I love LeBron. I do, even though he's not my GOAT. But I've swapped him out with AD. I'll put
fair.
AD in starting because obviously the fan votes are going to get LeBron in, and he's going to be the captain because it's LeBron. But I think based on my picks and who I think deserves it more, I think AD has been slightly better than LeBron this season for the Lakers. It's close, but I'd go AD. So
I
those
want
are my
LeBron
three.
there, to be fair. My guard
Bench.
spots on the bench. I've gone De'Aaron Fox, although the Kings have been pretty average this year. He's had some really good games. I want him there. And Anthony Edwards.
I've
Pretty
gone
stock standard.
Anthony Edwards as well. He has to make it, even though the Wolves stink. And I've gone Kyrie Irving as my other guard. I think he's having a very slept-on year for the Mavs, with Luka obviously being out with an injury for the past few weeks, and indefinitely as well.
He gets reevaluated at the end of the month, so
Yeah,
he
might not even make it.
miss the All-Star game.
But Kyrie's he's averaging like 24 on very good efficiency, and he's obviously a fan favorite. Very fun player to watch. Best dribbles of all time. Best handles.
Absolutely.
So he's in there for me.
Yeah, my front court, Anthony Davis, obviously sneaking in. KD, I think that's a given. He is always going to make an All-Star team. And I just showed the Rockets some love here. I'd say it's the best player on the Rockets. Gone with Alperen Sengun.
Yep.
To potentially get an All-Star team this year.
I've gone with KD as well. Like you said, has to make it. And he's having a good year, 27 a game, even though the Suns struggling. I've gone with LeBron, because I obviously went with AD starting. And I've also gone with Sengun. The Rockets, 3rd seed in the West, they have to get an All-Star. I think at least one. And Sengun, he's the best player on the Rockets. And like in the East, the forward position's a little bit weaker than the guards.
Yeah.
So Jalen Green, shout out to you. Maybe an honourable mention, but you're not on my team.
Wild cards.
I would let you go first.
Jaren Jackson Jr. I think the Grizzlies deserve somebody, but I just don't think Ja hasn't really played enough.
I'm in agreement.
So
Triple J.
Triple J on there, and then this comes with probably no surprise. This probably comes with no surprise. Norman Powell. For my wildcard position here.
I can't even clown you for that.
24 a game, 45% from 3. On a Clippers team that had no Kawhi, 20 and 15. I think he deserves it, honestly. I really, really do. And this isn't even me glazing or being biased. I actually think Norman Powell could be an all-star this year.
I would hate on you if it was any other episode, and if I hadn't have made as delusional of a decision as I have.
Wait.
Okay.
Who are your wildcards?
So Jaren Jackson Jr. as well. Memphis needs someone. They're the 2 seed?
They're up
The
there.
4 seed. 2 or 4 seed. And yeah, Jar's been out too much. And Jaren's having a very good year, 22 a game.
Yeah, he's been good.
So I had to show him love.
Wait, so what's your pick then? That's delusional.
And my other one, I've said it's delusional now, so everyone's gonna. It's Shaden Sharp. Shaden Sharp for All-Star 2025. Everybody, go vote for Shaden. You know what? We'll do a gift. No, we won't. All the reasons you've just mentioned, he's entertaining, Norman Powell, they apply to Shaden Sharp. What do fans want to watch in an All-Star game? They want to watch entertainment. And who else is going to be more entertaining than the highest flying, the most athletic player in the NBA, Shaden Sharp, dunking on your favorite player, LeBron acting like a muppet, Shaden dunking on his head. That is just entertainment 101, and the NBA needs to tap into it. And I know that the coaches who choose the bench will make the right decision, and they'll choose Shaden Sharp for All-Star 2025. Maybe
That might... Okay, out of all the takes you've had on this podcast, that might be the worst. Potentially.
Norman Powell?
You've had worse takes. You know, the Tatum family reunion in Illawarra. That was probably up there as well.
That was a take. That was just a...
This is
Chuck
one
it
of...
out there.
I hope you're joking. That's crazy.
I'm not joking. I'm deadly serious. Look in my eyes.
Let us know who you would pick for your wild card down below. I feel like all the other positions are a little bit set in stone. Any snubs as well in the West?
Oh, snubs. Wait. Oh, De'Aaron Fox didn't make it for me. Yeah, I just don't think there's anyone that he could have slotted in there over Steph Curry. Neither of us had Steph Curry.
Neither of us had Steph Curry.
He stinks. Steph Curry is dog.
Wait, I completely didn't even cross my mind. You know what's funny though? He's going to make it.
Yeah, of course he will.
But
He doesn't deserve it. He's poo. He's washed.
you know what's funny? I didn't even think about him.
No, neither did I.
Wow.
Well, that's what happens when you average 22 a game. Maybe Norman and Shaden can chuck some gloves on and spar for the last position in the boxing ring.
Steph Curry didn't even...
Shaden's knocking
Can't
him
believe
out
Steph.
cold,
I
bro.
can't believe Steph Curry didn't make my team. Or Kyrie Irving. Actually, now I think about it.
Yeah.
Norman Powell still making it. Let us know down below who you'd pick in your All-Star team. I would love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, that's it for episode 19. We'll be back again next week for episode 20, another little milestone.
Hey.
Obviously, Breakers got their game on Wednesday, and they probably have another game next weekend too. So we're breaking those down, and yeah, maybe we'll have a surprise next week.
Good day to be a Blazers fan. Yeah, nah.
Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next week.